Okay, hi. Like Sharon said, we're RyLeigh and Lindsey. I'm Lindsey. I'm very impressed that people know where Leola is, though. I always think it's a very small town. But, okay, you want to start?
Sure. So we're here to talk about mock trial. So mock trial at USD is an undergraduate traveling competitive team. We also are kind of a club, but not your kind of typical club because we meet a lot more often. And there's a lot more commitment that comes to being in mock trial because you're a part of a team. And how mock trial works is if you need every single team member there, otherwise you're not going to be successful. And so it's really important that everybody in our organization is committed to coming to practices, working together, and really just being there to support each other.
Yeah, we're like a USD team, but without the jerseys and the funding.
Right.
So our team, this is a picture from last year, so a couple of these members have graduated or moved on to other parts of the university, but our team consists of captains, which are Sandy McEwen, she's a professor. Well, I guess we're the captains, she's the coach. That could be confusing.
Yeah, Sandy McEwen's our coach.
Our coach.
We also have a coach that was a former USD law graduate and USD undergrad graduate who was a part of the mock trial team. He now practices in Sioux Falls, but he comes down every week and travels with us, and he's been very helpful. And like Lindsey said, we're the two captains of the team, and so basically we're like the leadership, the student leadership of the team.
And then members, how many members do we have?
Right now we have around 16 members that come to our practices continually. The only thing with mock trial is that at tournaments, they limit us to only having 10 members on a team. And so if we wanted to take more than one team to a tournament, we'd have to have at least 12 members going. But that really splits up the workload in a way that can be a little unmanageable for a lot of students. And so far we've only been able to be taking 10 students to each tournament, but we've been kind of rotating that so everyone gets an opportunity to go.
So we put up a couple of cases that we've had over the years. You get one case at the beginning of the year, as other colleges that participate in mock trial do, and you take the year, you go to invitational tournaments, then in the spring you go to more competitive tournaments like regionals, nationals, and you work on this one case the whole year, which a lot of people don't know that we really are just working on one big caseload. It's not like having multiple cases. So the one, and it also alternates criminal to civil every other year. So this year is a criminal case, and it's the one at the top, State of Midlands versus Berkeley de la Porta and Poe Cameron. We actually have two defendants this year, which is kind of, it's interesting. It's a lot more work because they get to choose right before the round starts who they're going to prosecute. So it's kind of like you have to have two separate cases prepared, but it's kind of Ocean's 11. It's an art heist. Yep, these people came in, they stole some paintings out of a museum and like an auction, and yeah. You want to talk about last year's?
Yeah, sure. So last year we had a civil case. It was Felder versus Casey Air. In this case, there was a private pilot who took he was a lawyer, he took his law partner up in the air with him, and the plane ended up crashing, and both of them died. These are also all made-up cases, so all of these people are fake.
No, they're real. No, I'm joking.
So they both died, and now the widow of the partner who died in that crash is suing the pilot's company. And so it was for a negligence case, basically saying that the pilot wasn't trained well enough to be flying in those weather conditions, and that's why the plane crashed. And so with that case, we had to learn a lot about aviation, flying. And so with mock trial, because not only do we play the roles of the attorneys in the trials, we also play the roles of the witnesses. We have to learn a lot about like expert witness roles, and so we had to have students playing roles such as like a aviation expert or a flight safety expert, and so we had to kind of learn things that are a little out of our wheelhouse. And that's, I mean, it's kind of interesting being able to learn about things that you wouldn't usually learn about when you're in a, pre-law criminal justice classes.
Mm-hmm. And like this year we have like DNA experts, and I've been trying to figure out how to talk about DNA without sounding like a pre-law student, but I don't think it's been working very well. And then my freshman year, RyLeigh sophomore year, we had State of Midlands versus Sutcliffe. So this was another criminal case. There was an owner of a bar, Dakota, and there was some speculation that he had burned down his own bar to collect insurance. And in the act of the bar burning down, a firefighter died. So they were trying to stop the flames. They died. The bar owner was then charged with aggravated arson because if he had set it on purpose and then the firefighter had died. That one was interesting because we had to learn a lot about like fighting fires and who has responsibility and stuff like this. So that one was super interesting.
And then my freshman year, we had a civil case again, and it was the estate of Genesis Petrillo versus Peony Estates. This was my freshman year, and that was COVID, 2020. And so all of our mock trial cases and our practices all happened through Zoom, which when you're doing 3-hour trials over Zoom, it can be really draining. And so honestly, I'm not going to lie, a lot of the facts of this case I've blocked out of my memory for those reasons. But basically what happened was Genesis Petrillo was getting married to the daughter of the owner of Peony Estates, and he ended up dying because the wine that he drank at the wedding had pesticides in it. And so you could either make a claim of battery, saying that the owner of the bar, the mother of the bride, purposefully put pesticides in the wine because she didn't like Genesis, or you could go negligence and just say that she did a bad job keeping the wine safe from getting, pesticides in it and poisoning him. So that was kind of interesting, though it was a little bit of a weird year for us.
Pretty much all of our cases would make really good movies.
Yes. So for tournaments, each year we travel to about 5 tournaments as a team. On this side you can see our invitations, our invitationals. These are where other schools put on competitions for us, and we go to those. So just recently we went to the one this year at the University of Minnesota, which is always a pretty fun time. We also usually go to Drake University. We didn't go this year because their roster filled up before we were able to sign up. And then next weekend we're going to Creighton. We also usually go to the University of Nebraska in January. And this year, for the first time since I've been doing mock trial, we're going to Kansas City to the University of Missouri. So that should be a long road trip, but it should be pretty fun. And then after invitational season, which kind of goes from September, October to January, we start the American Mock Trial Association sanctioned tournaments. And so the American Mock Trial Association are the ones who write the case for us. They're the ones who put together all of the documents and everything and the rules. And so those tournaments are regionals, open round championship, and nationals. And how those work is you have to break out of each one. And so you have to break out of regionals to get to the open round championship, and then you have to break out of that to go to nationals. And I think, how many teams go to nationals? Around like 25?
Yeah, somewhere in the 20s.
25 total go to nationals, and there's teams all over the country. And so out of like over 200 some teams, 25 get to go to nationals. And we're the only team in South Dakota, so we're pretty special, I think.
Yeah. So how a tournament works, a lot of people assume like if we win the case, we win the round. Like, oh, if we prove that this person's guilty, we win. It kind of works a little bit differently, and it's also not that we show up and we're like just defending this person the whole weekend. We go off and on being defending the person on trial to also prosecuting the person. That's why we have 10 members, because we usually split ourselves into like 2 halves of one team, one that focuses on prosecution and one that focuses on defense. So when we show up to a tournament, there's going to be 4 rounds. Most of the time, well, you'll always go 2 times as prosecution, and you'll always go 2 times acting as the defense. Most of the time, we have 2 rounds Saturday, 2 rounds Sunday. Sometimes it gets split up where it's like 1 round Friday, 2 rounds Saturday, 1 round Sunday, but that doesn't happen that often. Our rounds last somewhere between 2 and 3 hours. It's capped at 3 hours, so we can't go any farther. And if we do, both teams would lose, so we try not to do that. We go to captain's meeting. RyLeigh and I do 30 minutes before every round starts. And captain's meeting are usually our most nervous times because you don't know what the other team's doing, because there's multiple witnesses that they could choose from. There's multiple theories and all these different stories that they can form. We don't know what they're doing until 30 minutes before our round starts. So that's like very 30 minutes of the dark times where you're just trying to think, what am I going to do if they do this? And then, yeah, there's always 2 judges, which are usually law students, sometimes lawyers. I think when you get to higher tournaments, sometimes there'll be judges, and it's all, I think, on a volunteer basis. And a lot of times, teams are either required or they bring, like Andy, our other coach, will go and he'll judge rounds. So a lot of times you have to provide that. And one person's the presiding judge, so they'll do what a normal judge does during a round, like talk about objections, give you the okay to do certain things, and then the other one just scores. And yeah, we get there, and there's opening and closing ceremonies. Most of our tournaments consist of about 15 to 20 teams, depending on where you go in the size. We all take a van and stay in a hotel. I am the wonderful driver of the van. Yep, Shorn, I see you.
She does a great job.
I did just drive a 12-person van through Minneapolis, so I feel as though that is I should be able to put that on my resume. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I taught her everything she knows about driving.
Yeah, if he did, then we would not be up here today. We would still be in Minneapolis. And then, yeah, we stay in a hotel. It's all funded throughout our program. Our students don't have to pay for anything except for the food and your dress, like your professional clothes, but the food while we're traveling. And yeah, we bring all case materials. We'll actually print out big, demonstratives. So if an expert has a blown up photo of DNA or something about an expert, we will bring that and use that as a demonstrative during trial.
So the round itself, how it works is that we have, in every round, there's going to be 3 attorneys for the defense, 3 attorneys for the prosecution, and then 3 witnesses for each side as well. So there's a total of 6 attorneys in the room and 6 witnesses. And so first we do pre-trial, which is an unscored part, but we basically just introduce ourselves to the judges, do a few other rules things, and then we get into opening statements, which is usually a 5-minute statement that a student will prepare. And it kind of just, starts off the round who the defendant is, what the story kind of is, and what the charges are. Then it goes into and then both the prosecution and the defense will do one of these statements. Then it goes into the prosecution's case in chief, and there'll be 3 direct examinations done by the prosecuting attorneys. And then once one witness is direct examined, then they'll be cross-examined by the opposing counsel. And so throughout the case in chief, there'll be 3 direct examinations, 3 cross-examinations, and throughout those, you will also be doing objections. And so you have to be listening very carefully the entire time to make sure that no evidence is getting in that shouldn't be let in because of the rules of evidence. Then we move on to the defense's case in chief. The same kind of thing happens. And then finally, you move into closing arguments, where the prosecution will go first, and then they usually reserve about 2 minutes to do rebuttal. Then the defense will go, and then we'll have the prosecution's rebuttal, and then the case is closed. Trials usually last around 2 to 3 hours. They can get pretty long, but there is a rule in place that there's an all-loss time, which means that if we start going too long and we hit that time, then everybody in the round loses, which is not what you want to have happen.
Scoring. So we took a picture of one of our ballots from this past weekend, and that's what the judges will have, and then they'll have a bunch of comment sheets, but that's pretty much what they're looking at while we're competing. So like I said, things aren't scored by if you win or lose, it's scored on your performance. So as you can kind of see, you'll do openings for both sides of the case, and then they'll give you a numerical score, 1 to 10, and then they'll score the directing attorneys pretty much on. There's a lot of rules and laws that go around how you have to ask questions on direct versus cross, and how forward, and if you can lead them to an answer, if you have to be a little bit more open. So they'll score you a lot on your question formation, the story that you're telling, the organization of your direct. And then same with the witnesses, how they perform, how entertaining were they believable, or did they fight a little bit too much? And then the same type of things on the other side of the case with the crosses. And then the closings, how well you summarize the case, your speaking skills, confidence, stuff like that all gets scored. And then at the bottom, they do rankings of attorneys and witnesses in the role. So like RyLeigh said, there's 6 witnesses, 6 attorneys, and they'll rank them from both sides, 1 to 4, 1 being the best in the round based on their perception, and 4 being 4th out of 6th. And those are nice, but we really focus the most on winning the ballot as a full team.
Yeah, I will point out, though, that Lindsey is ranked first for this round, and then the witness ranked first is also one of ours. So.
Yes. We maybe picked this ballot because it looks very nice.
Yeah. And then basically how it works so you can see here, there's that +9. That means that we got 9 more points total than the team we were going up against. So that means that we have won that ballot. And since there's 2 ballots of every round, and there's 4 rounds total, there's 8 ballots that you can possibly take. And so when it comes to deciding who has gotten first, second, third overall for the tournament, they use those ballot scores. And so sometimes if you win all of your ballots, you'll get an 8 and 0. If you win some and not the others, maybe you'll win 4 ballots and lose 4 ballots. That's kind of how it works and how they score us.
Skills. So we obviously have to have a lot of skills. Here's me telling you that we have a lot of skills. But we focus a lot at the beginning of the year on the rules of evidence. Everything's based off of this state called Midlands, obviously not a real state, but a lot of our rules of evidence are based off of the federal rules of evidence, not exactly in some parts, but pretty close. So we go through and we learn a lot of rules of evidence and how to argue them and how to talk about them in a professional, legal way. Public speaking, a huge skill that we have to have. Obviously, we're doing a fantastic job right now because we're well trained. But yes, public speaking, you're speaking in front of legal experts and explaining the law to them as a 19-year-old. You want to be able to have the confidence to cite law back to them. And so we practice a lot of that. Legal writing, how to write directs, crosses, writing things in line with the rules of evidence, courtroom procedures. You'd be surprised how, if you've never watched a trial, how much you have to know about how to act in the courtroom, how to address people, where to walk, where to stand. It's honestly very interesting, and it's something I think we forget because we've been doing it for so long. But we had some freshmen at our tournament last weekend. We're like, why are you doing that? It's like they don't know that you have to ask the judge to stand up. And so that was kind of interesting. And then, directing witnesses, crossing them, formulating a case theory, and storytelling are probably 2 of the biggest things we focus on. You kind of get this big document that's 400 pages, and there's tens of different routes that you could take for telling a story this way, telling a story this way, saying my person wasn't even there, saying that they were crazy when this happened, just kind of a bunch of things. And we really try to pin down a great case theory and tell the story that we want to tell. And then teamwork, leadership, and time management, because it's a big commitment to be in mock trial on top of our other classes and responsibilities, but we do our best to manage our time.
And these are just some pictures. That one at the top is the team from this year, just last weekend at Minnesota. We also, on this side, every year we do a presentation at Idea Fest here of a very shortened version of our trials. And then that's a picture from Lindsey's freshman year.
Oh yeah, it is.
So.
Oof. And then so there's team awards. We've won some awards as a team, being able to place in tournaments. And this was last year.
Yeah, last year at the Drake University tournament, we got 2nd place. That was great. As you can tell, we were so excited. But so team awards really are if we are going to take an award home, we want it to be a team award because it shows that our entire team worked well together.
And then there's also individual awards that can happen. That comes from that ranking system, depending on how high you were ranked and how many judges ranked you and all of the times that you participated. You can get an individual award. And as wonderful as individual awards are, they are very subjective. You're ranking 6 really smart undergrads. Everybody's going to have a different opinion, and we always try to keep things in perspective, wow, I got ranked first, but the other team didn't know what they were doing, so what does that really mean about me or them? But so we take them with a lot of pride, but we obviously take our team accomplishments with more.
And then our most sought-after award is something called SPAMTA. It's the Spirit of American Mock Trial Award. At every single tournament, both the invitational tournaments and the AMTA sanctioned tournaments, there's an award called SPAMTA, which all of the teams basically rank each team that they go up against based on how cordial, kind, just professional, all of those kinds of things they were. And so we really take that because obviously we're South Dakota Midwest nice, and we want to, be as cordial as we can be because it is a competitive environment and it can cause a lot of tension when really we just want to go and have fun and meet new people and show off our skills. And so we really want to win SPAMTA. This award that the picture is of was from the regional tournament in 2019, but I think Sandy McEwen's office is like
Covered
full
in
with
SPAMTA
awards.
Yep.
So that's really, like, if we win SPAMTA at a tournament, that probably means more to us than how many ballots we won or if we won any individual awards.
We'll win a trophy and Sandy be like, you guys can keep that one. You guys can put that up
but
wherever
she
you want.
wants the SPAMTA awards in her office.
Yep.
But
And-
if anything else, she's like, you put it in the basement.
And like Shorn will tell you, we're the nicest people that he knows.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
a little bit of a plug, if anyone's not busy tonight, we are holding a fundraiser at Varsity Basement tonight at 7. It's a murder mystery party.
Shorn will be there.
Shorn will be there in costume.
So for funding for our team, most mock trial teams at different schools will require their members to pay dues because mock trial is a pretty expensive thing to do. You have to pay tournament fees, you have to pay fees to AMPTA to be able to get the case materials, and it's, printing off case materials, the time, it's hotels, travel, it gets to be really expensive. We're lucky that we have the Farber Fund to help us with our expenses, and so we don't have to require our members to pay dues, which we're really proud of and happy that we don't have to do. But we also, Farber funds can only go so far, and so we have started looking at ways to fund more money for our team for the future. And so this is kind of one way that we are doing that. And so, yeah, so far it's been pretty successful, and we're both really excited to see how it goes tonight.
Thank you. If anyone has any questions, you can let us know, but thank you. All right, well, we'll put that.